Well, I mean, parties happen, but not like that.
No.
Not where anybody's shooting stuff out of their boobs.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined, as always, by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
I'm the weird one.
I don't know that that's true. We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Go ahead, Danae. Defend yourself as the weird one.
I told somebody on Twitter I would say it.
Oh, I see.
They particularly liked the outtake a couple episodes ago where I was the host and Jonathan did the editing.
Right,
and
yeah,
then had
yeah.
the whole ending part where I said I was weird.
Oh, yeah.
I needed to end or begin every episode saying the same thing. I thought I'd just try it out today.
No, I like it.
But I've been shamed, so I won't do that again.
No. I didn't shame you at all. I maybe questioned your assumption that you are the weird one. You don't know how weird Jonathan and I can be. You're just the more
true.
publicly weird one.
That is.
I look forward to next week when Danae's out of town and we have two people listen to the show.
Well, why are you telling them then, Jonathan?
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
give it
good
away.
point. Let's edit that.
Yeah, we don't want people to know.
When do we tell everybody?
They just find out.
Yeah.
In fact, next week when we're recording, we'll just be like, oh, Danae's coming in like 30 minutes, guys. We'll just keep teasing the fact that she's on the show, and then we'll get to the end, and it'll be like Matt
But we'll
Damon
have a cool
on.
guest, so it'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be like Damon always getting bumped off of what's his name
Yeah.
show. And that'll happen occasionally where one of us will pop off. Jonathan's already missed one. I've missed one.
Watch that mouth, you popping off.
And all of a sudden, Danae's from what? Boston, maybe?
I don't know. I just do accents without really understanding where they're from. It does get me into trouble.
I would say that is a
Don't at
dangerous
me.
thing, Danae.
I love doing voices and mimicking sound.
Sure, yeah.
So I've always just accidentally offended people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
But you learn, right?
Do I ever eventually learn?
Good to know.
Anyway.
But let's talk about this week, shall we? We are going to have a good time. I do have to say it's important right off the bat to say that you're just going to have to choose who to believe about the flatulence in the outtakes of the last episode. I was in here. And I have my perspective, but Danae is embarrassed, and I get that. I get that it can be embarrassing.
You're
But you
terrible.
should be proud of it. Like, that was really impressive.
I am proud. Again, I love to mimic sounds. I am really proud of the random noises that I make.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that my oddness has a place to express itself.
So I don't know if we need to do a Twitter poll or,
Oh my
if
gosh.
you need to...
I can't believe
to
you
weigh
did that
in.
on Twitter. I'm so glad that I saw it
Yeah.
and could at least sort of defend myself a little bit.
Yeah, I understand you don't want people to understand. I get it. I know you want to build, what is it, like what do they call that? The verbal reality? The idea of what, you want people to believe happened. But I was here. I know, Danae. I know exactly what happened.
The worst part of that whole thing is Jonathan, you're like, what is that?
Sorry.
Listening back to that was the
I was
funniest
mildly
thing.
curious.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, we were just glad you were alive after the vacuum cleaner.
Oh, well, yeah, that was a mistake on my part, too, when I retweeted your description of the show and then just put, I'm still alive, not thinking about people had not listened to the show and probably had no idea what I was talking about.
It's fine. I love it. I love that there's like this little... Well, and it's interesting, too, because the Patreon fans who get access to all this stuff early, they're so good about commenting on it early, but not giving anything away.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
They kind of hold the secret for everybody,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Super awesome
my,
of you guys.
my good friend Michael, who works on the Horror Virgin podcast, he commented on that and said, "I'm happy for your life" or something.
Oh, man. It was a lot of fun episode. It was kind of like, okay, we've peaked. Everything else from here on out, it's not going to be great. Is now the time to talk about what happened too after last week's episode?
Sure,
with
let's
Twitter?
get all this stuff out at the front, and then we can get into the show.
I just love how we sort of casually are like, let's just plug ourselves on Twitter and see what happens.
Yeah,
So
you got some Twitter followers.
I think we should talk about Jonathan. You hit your goal.
I did. I'm actually over it. Yeah, I'm over 1,000 now. I think I'm like 1,015 or something.
Nice.
This morning. Not that I check all the time.
No. I think you were like 1,026 or something last time I looked.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
You're on the rocket ship up. Aaron, you wanted to get to 50,000. How are
I was just kidding. I think I'm around 26 or
so
30.
you're almost there.
Not 26,000. 2,600. Yeah, I'd love to see 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. That'd be fun. But
Whatever.
But at the end of the day, I mean, what is it, right? It's not that the number is big. It's a representation of like people to talk to, people to hang out with. You know what I mean? Like that's how I always view it. Is the idea of social media is the idea we can have like a community together and talk movies and fun stuff.
You just keep telling yourself that. You're upset because you didn't set a reasonable goal and you didn't hit it in 1 week. Jonathan's like, I want to get to 1,000. He got there. I wanted to get one more follower. I got multiple more than one.
Yeah, you did.
And so I was at 654. And then like the next, I said something about DM me. I got 5 people that sent me a DM saying something like, this one's for you, or here's your ego stroke, or whatever. Just hilarious stuff.
Nice.
And then when I got to 666,
people are being nice in the DMs. Like I've never been like a female public figure, and I know it can get weird.
Oh, it'll come later.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll be there later. So, but at 666, it was really funny because someone took a screenshot. So then I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And then 669 in Discord chat, there was arguments back and forth about let's unfollow her so she stays at 669. I just thought that was just the funniest thing. You guys are so good. It was just a lot of fun. It was a fun time. I just checked and I guess I am. I'm at 705.
Yay!
Good for you.
That was quite the jump. And anyways, that was just a lot of fun to know that you guys are liking the show.
I remember when I was at 700. Sorry.
That was 20 years ago.
No, I cannot believe 1,000 people want to.
Isn't it crazy?
Want to talk to me? So
yeah,
and there probably is some BS in there. People that are just But
well, I will tell you this
for the most part.
And again, this is all about how amazing the fans are because we just started this podcast. Just this is episode 8.
Yeah.
And already I think we're up to 7,000 downloads total.
Crazy.
And every episode is creeping up on 1,000. A couple of them are already over 1,000 downloads.
Do we have any reviews on iTunes
We
yet?
do. I was going to read one in the show, actually. So
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then I won't go and look.
Well, you can if you like. It is a free country.
Do we have more than one?
It's been crazy.
We have 3.
Yay!
So thank you. I guess all this is just to say thank you guys for being awesome fans and for coming along the journey with us and having a good time. You ready to get on to the actual show?
Let's do it.
Do some fun stuff. All right, let's talk about this inside scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
Man, I am excited about this show. This is going to be a fun one. There's a lot of little unique things about stuff happening this week that makes it a little different. But we're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, how we felt about the show movie in general, any kind of inside information that we can give you. We kick it off on Monday with TV Sins, and Archer kicks off Sweeps Month. We're doing animated primetime shows during Sweeps Month, and so FX's Archer was the first one.
These animated shows are hard.
Yeah, that is true. This is what we've learned. Now, of course, we are always working ahead of what you see. So I think we're done. We've actually finished.
We are in the process of the last one.
So we have written 4 scripts for animated primetime shows, and they have all been difficult. And it was difficult to write Simpsons. And I think the reason is because they're meant to be surrealist and wacky and stupid. And so, like, a lot of times we will have to call each other on, yeah, that's kind of the joke. You know what I mean? Like, we'll make a joke that they're already making or that kind of thing. And so, yeah, animated shows are a little tough to do, but I really enjoyed it. They're some of the most fun, shows to sin. That kind of thing. Danae, have you ever seen Archer?
I had watched the pilot, the first Archer,
Okay.
a long time ago. So this just reminded me that I liked it. I don't know why I never picked it up and kept watching it.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch it beyond just the one. It's the only one I've ever seen.
Jonathan, what's your experience with the show?
We talked a little bit about this with the Sincast, actually. We were on. I watched the first maybe 5 seasons. I don't know. I think. Because the last few seasons, they went from being just kind of like an inner office comedy to where they've branched out and kind of made direct parodies.
Well, that's been since season 3.
Yeah, so I know I watched the Burt Reynolds one, and I watched the murder mystery. I think I bowed out about 3 or 4 episodes into like the Miami Vice one, whenever that was, a couple years ago.
I think that was season 5.
Okay.
I still watch. In fact, I just finished up the latest season last night. It's really interesting because, like you said, like this season, season 10, which I can't believe there's been 10 seasons of this show.
That's crazy.
Is Archer 1999. And it's kind of space themed, and it's a really interesting one. And then last season was Danger Island, which was, kind of more tropical, that kind of thing. Dreamland was before that. So, they kind of have these themes that they've gone with in each of the seasons since like season 2. And I got to tell you, season 10 ended with a double episode that it's not necessarily mind-blowing, but it's one of those things where you'll go, oh, all that was a plan, or at least they made it into a plan. Like, it kind of ties everything together in a really interesting way.
No, damn it, Aaron. Now I have to go watch it.
Well, but it doesn't surprise me because the thing I would say about Archer is it is one of the most clever shows I've ever seen. Like, the writing is so smart on this show. The comedy is so smart. The wit is just so sharp. So, yeah, I really enjoy this show.
The sin where we give the sin back, I believe you wrote that, where it was so funny. The scene with the sand, where he's like, I will put sand in your eyes. And he's like, also go buy me sand.
Yeah.
Well, and that joke even goes further because then he's like, do they grade the coarseness of sand?
Yeah.
Whatever the one it's coarsiest, or I forget the word they use,
Yeah,
it's
but
hilarious.
I remember I brought that up because when I saw that when it aired, that hooked me.
Yeah.
That was the scene where I thought that was great that was the scene that we took the sin off for, because that was the scene that I was like, I'm watching this show.
Yeah.
Like, there's something going on here that I really like. And I think H. John Benjamin has, all the voice work.
Yeah, it's great.
Is just great. I mean, it's a perfectly casted animated series.
What do you think about the animation style?
Well, that's another thing we've kind of noticed over this month is animation style is always an interesting choice. And I really like this animation style. I like the bold outlines. And
Me too.
And I just think it's really cool to look at.
It's so different than like the other animation styles that you see like in mass media.
My guess is, there is probably a budget issue. I don't know. FX was not a huge network at the time that this started, so I don't know I don't even know if FX was actually the ones making this, or if it was made, and they just bought the rights to it. I don't know how all that works.
Well, I can tell you what I do know. I do know it was made in Georgia. Because I see it at the end of every episode, they have that little title card. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Continue on.
There was comments about how the animation gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so interesting and fascinating to me because I can't draw really well. And so to me, it's like, this is great.
Yeah.
You can tell that's a person.
Well, we do have at least one animation sin about the tiny hands.
Yes.
Because at some point, Archer has tiny hands, which is really
I actually made a
interesting.
note that I think, and I couldn't find, I swear to God, like in the Simpsons video we did or something, you mentioned some stuff like this, but I feel like you have a fascination with like faces and
I do.
And
I
hands and things in animation.
Well, and
you also mentioned the chin dimple.
I did, yeah, because it's completely bifurcated. It's like two chins. It's insane.
It's
super weird. I just don't notice stuff like that. That's why it's good we have two or three writers on these things.
Yeah.
Danae's got some stuff like that coming up in the animated stuff, too,
Oh.
where she notices some... I think the one that actually just went public as we're recording this, so you can have already seen this. Danae has a great run that we'll talk about next week on clothing. That is one of my favorite things ever.
That's excellent.
But that's next week. That's a tease. We just did a tease there.
The closest thing I could compare that to for people that are fans of TV sins would be the Game of Thrones. Is that the Red Wedding?
Yeah. Where the narration and the sins go crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that ending in that way. Listen, I'm just saying, Danae, you hit it right on the nose, right on the button. Like you just nailed that series. She's still confused.
I have no idea what joke you're talking about.
All right, well, I got to button this up because we need to move on. So.
Oh!
That took way too long.
Oh my God. Wow.
I can't believe it took you that long to...
Hey, like I said, I have been a single parent for over a week.
Yeah.
I have such little sleep happening. And I turned in 3 scripts in 1 week. It's a lot.
Yeah.
My brain's fried, guys.
Yeah, those are fun weeks.
So Archer's amazing. We can talk about the video in general. In fact, I'll just transition with this. Archer is so amazing that there's a joke in the script that I wrote because Archer tries to name the person that is apparently having sex with sandwiches in their office. And he tries to name them the PETA Predator. And Archer is so smart and clever that I almost wonder if the pedophile thing was like a subtle non-joke that they knew was there, but the joke is that Archer just missed it. Like, that's how clever they are, that I would not surprise me if...
Oh, like the Archer himself isn't, quote, like, clever enough to get
right,
to
he
get
didn't
there.
quite get to the joke that's right there.
That's how
you know?
I am. I feel you, man.
Or it might have just been they didn't want to say, something
But
close to pedophile.
that is one thing I think that also works in the show's favor is the character of Archer is that as dumb as he comes off, and he is dumb in a lot of areas, and he's obviously he's very problematic, but he's also very smart, and he's actually appears to be pretty good at his job. It's really hard to write a character like that.
Yeah.
There were a couple things I had written down before we go on, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's great.
One was this had that thing where like ISIS is mentioned, and now that's just not something that would ever be.
Yeah,
in.
ISIS is something completely different now.
So when you watch back now, it's so much more of a jarring thing. But watching it then, obviously, it was just no big deal. And the other thing is because that's how you get ants. That whole joke.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this where I got that? Because I did watch the first Archer.
Well,
but
it's where culture got it,
Is that where I got? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
100% sure.
Yeah, and then we've used variations on that quite a bit in
Right.
TV Sins videos and CinemaSins videos for that matter.
Yeah.
And that's why I made that joke about it being where TV Sins was born.
Yes. Well, I loved that because I thought,
Well, thank you.
my God, that's where it all started.
The other thing I love about this video is there has been something really fun this month about using audio outtakes from voice talent that does cartoons because it translates so well to animation to just use other things they've done. One of my favorite things is the H. John Benjamin singing the Arby's song.
Oh, that was amazing.
While he's holding the donuts. It looks like it was animated that way. Like I probably watched that like 7 times when the edit came in the first time. I was just like, that is the funniest thing ever.
Well, and it works so much better that way too, because it's really weird watching him sing in the actual commercial because it's him. It's the human.
Right, it's not animated,
Benjamin with Archer's voice.
Yeah, I
or
love
Bob's
that kind of
Burgers
stuff.
or whatever.
There's actually one on the CinemaSins side, a video we won't talk about till next week, where you did the edit and there was an outtake where it's an animated movie. I guess I can say that, and it was so perfect. The way it just fit together. So I'm finding that I love writing outtakes for animated movies because they work so well. Let's move on to CinemaSins' first video of the week. Boy, was this an interesting one. Shazam. This was a Dicer share joint, so Barrett and I wrote on this. I love Shazam. It's one of my favorite movies this year, so I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it.
Have you seen it, Janae?
No.
You should see it.
And this is one of those
You'll
things
love it.
that's going to happen now that I'm on this show. And that is that it's a movie that's in my I want to see it box, and yet now I'm spoiled. You know what I mean? Because now I've pretty much seen the entire movie.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot to be spoiled. Maybe some of the stuff at the end is kind of spoilery, but I mean, it's a pretty straightforward superhero origin movie.
Well, now I know people are decapitated by demon.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's huge.
Yeah, and also it gives you a reason not to watch it too, right? Because that's something that's going to bother you. And was worth sinning, by the way. I can't believe how graphic this... I mean, I can, knowing it's a horror director who kind of took a superhero proper... I mean, I don't want to label him as a horror director. I'm just saying he has done horror films, and so, he likes that kind of imagery.
Well, yeah, he also did Lights Out, so, I mean, he's definitely done some horror films.
Well, if nothing else, he likes that kind of imagery. But at the same time, it's pretty gruesome stuff. And it's not gruesome in like a blood and guts kind of way. It's gruesome in like an emotional tension kind of way.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the demons, right?
The boardroom scene specifically.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but I will say the way they draw, like the way those are the computer imagery or whatever, it definitely gave me like a Scooby-Doo vibe.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they did look very cartoonish, but there was just a real quick scene or moment where she's sort of standing eyeball to teeth with kind of a scary one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that would have scared the crap out of me. I was very sensitive. I was an overly sensitive child to those images anyway. But
and we didn't show the fullness of the like biting the head off and throwing the beheaded body out the window.
Right. But and that's the thing is like I'm just watching the CinemaSins version of a full movie. So yeah, I haven't seen it. I probably will eventually, but now it's not on my see it soon list. It's just like okay, now I kind of know what that one's about.
I think it's great.
The
I think you
mystery
really
is
enjoy
gone.
It. Yeah,
but
I liked it. I don't think I liked it anywhere near as much as Aaron, but it's a very enjoyable movie. It's very fun. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, it did seem like
I think it leaves you on a good note, which is always fun. Like the last 20 minutes are probably my favorite part. So that's always a plus when you can walk out on a bang like that, I guess.
Yeah. It did seem like there was lots of fun and humor that were kind of there. The part where he gets hit by the bus and just these sort of moments that are supposed to be funny and what do you call it? Try to kill a superhero,
right? Yeah,
humor that you can't get away with in anything else because you wouldn't survive, sort of a thing.
Well, it's the child in an adult body humor.
Yes,
that is so great.
It's probably my favorite version of that. Also, child in an adult body.
Can't we give a lot of that to Zachary Levi? He is so perfect for this role, and I was glad we took a sin away for his performance because, in fact, the movie almost has a negative to it. He's so good because the kid that's playing the version of Billy Batson is almost not kid enough. You know what I mean? Zachary Levi is more of a child than the child playing the child. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. He's kind of got that Tom Hanks, gee whiz feel like Hanks did in the 80s. So
there was that crazy kid montage section where they kind of go crazy and buy a whole bunch of stuff, which was one of the sins that I thought was really fun, which the point being, did they have enough time to do all of this in one day? Specifically the sin part of that where you have to update all of your systems in order to play. I have had so many moments where I turn on a system after a while and it's just now you have to do updates. It's going to take 2 hours. I hate that feeling.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that sin because I am yep, that's so true. I also really enjoyed Satan's testicle.
You're welcome.
That was just really funny to me because I'm a child.
Well, it did look like a testicle. It was all, testicle-y.
And then the other, any ball is a testicle, Aaron. Anything that
but that specifically was wiry. I'm giving away way too much. It looked like the scientific pictures I've seen of actual testicles outside of the scrotum.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Great. Wonderful.
And that's the problem. They took the testicle out of the scrotum, and then once you take the testicle out of the scrotum, that's a bad idea.
I also like the sin about the foster parents that were being really, really good.
And that was a sin off. That was a removal.
It was a sin off, but the way that it was done, it was kind of are we getting too sentimental and too real here? And then it was just this throwing of all these CinemaSins standard jokes.
Yeah, Rosa is not giving a lap dance in the scene. It was a good line.
Yeah, so sin still came off, but it was sort of just the way that Jimmy played that out was, balls.
Yeah, that was a Barrett sin. I thought that one was great.
Yeah,
I really did appreciate the portrayal of them as great foster parents.
Well, and they had another portrayal that was mentioned too of the children with disabilities or someone with a disability where just literally no big deal was made of it.
Yeah, it's just part of the character. Yeah.
So, and I like those kinds of sins that point, or I guess sin removals that point out the progression of storytelling. Yeah, I thought that was a really fun one. Also, it's almost at 2 million views now.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, it was trending and it's doing really well. I really enjoyed this one. I'm bummed. I had one of those things where it's going to bother me forever. I spelled Jim Neighbors' last name wrong.
Oh no.
And it's one of those things where now it's just in there forever.
Oh
and
no,
it's just
that's
back? Why we do time and again. People, this is again an inside look at what we do. We look over these things with a fine-tooth comb, especially that the subtitles with a fine-tooth comb, and we'll look over it 4 times and still be catching stuff. And the 5th time it'll be like, okay, I think there's nothing left. And sometimes something slips through, and it always is that nagging thing.
Well, now I'm mad. because I worked on the edit.
Oops.
I didn't notice that either.
But I did love that. I did love that joke that Jeremy is also an acronym.
Yes,
joke.
that was
a
so
lot
good.
of fun. So
Was that you or Barrett?
That was me. That was one I came
beautiful.
up with.
Yeah, that one got some love in the comments.
Yeah, it was fun.
It proves my point that anytime you mention Yahoo Serious, I mean, that's just you're always going to get a laugh, even if people don't know who that is. It's just a funny name.
I just love that it's the gravitas of Yahoo Serious. You know,
Yeah.
it's just it's a beautiful thing.
Also, you guys pointed out the bullies. That's something that's been crazy in movies over the last few years or so. Is just the kid bullies have just gone off the maps in a lot of these movies.
Well, they're so horrible.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: bullying is a problem. It is an actual thing that happens. And it can, especially the idea of cyberbullying and the idea of how easy it is to poke at someone and you can't escape it. I can't imagine growing up in this world where even when you go home you can be bullied. You know what I mean? It's just
there's no safe space.
There's no safe space, and so
you have to have such a good inner dialogue and such a strong self-awareness, and somebody in your life has to be speaking to you in such a beautiful way to give you some self-assurance of who you are and your identity that your most inner self can't be bullied. The type of child I'm trying to raise is the type of child that can kind of resist that she would believe something that somebody else would say about her that's negative.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just it's a totally different way of raising a person now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where our movies and TV haven't caught up.
I guess
not. And they're still portraying bullies like the 80s bully.
That are going to abandon their car and go run down into the subway.
Or just the fact that what the other thing is, bullying is so real and so hurtful, but it's almost shifted to digital and cyber in a way that you're not seeing the same kind of physical. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Don't misunderstand me. But you're not seeing the same degree of actual physical taunting and being in people's faces like this, and just how evil these bullies are. It's just
it's more
weird.
I think that was you and me, Aaron, that did Unfriended, right? That was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But that's more what bullying would be today,
right?
Sharing videos of of embarrassing moments and things of that nature. That's still an extreme in that movie, but just general, that would be more of what bullying would be, and not this like these two kids that might as well have mustaches and be at a train track with a woman tied to it.
Yeah, exactly. Twirling mustaches. All right, let's move on to the music video sin for the week, or one of two music video sins
we're back
of the
to
week.
two.
Damn
it, Barrett.
This is just
what
going
do you mean, damn it, Barrett?
And we're going to be going to 2 TV sins a week too. So we just got lots of videos coming out.
You guys are releasing 2 now?
Starting after the animation month.
You will be as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're in on this, Danae.
No, guys, I'm telling you,
hope you're
I don't
still
get
helping.
these updates. I don't get any updates. I'm still
Aaron
We
and I
talked
need to have a
about it
different
on the
conversation
show last
if you're not.
week. It was a huge announcement on the show last week at the very beginning of the show.
for music videos?
No, the TV sins is going to 2 a week.
Oh, no, I remember that.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
we were talking about the music video stuff.
Oh, no. That just kind of happened. I didn't know that was happening either.
Oh,
so.
man, you just got heated. You got flushed. You were all like, when are you ever going to listen to me?
Well, if people listen to the outtakes, they'll know it's very hot in this room. So.
Oh, no.
And there are
And we
people
need to
wearing
call
a
HR.
lot of clothing.
All right. So anyway, Ariana Grande, Social House, combining for Boyfriend. Barrett wrote this. And, okay, what did you guys think?
I also want to know why I was not invited to this party. That's what I want to know.
That's what you want to know?
I loved that recurring joke. That was
Because
a lot
those
of fun.
parties don't exist.
That's right. That's what I keep thinking is where are these parties that I keep seeing in movies like Booksmart and
right?
and Euphoria, and I'm just like, I lived in a different universe, and by the way, my kids live in a different universe than that. It's just not something that happens in small town middle America, I guess. So it's fascinating.
It
No,
doesn't
like
happen anywhere.
Well, I mean, parties happen, but not like that.
No.
Not where anybody's shooting stuff out of their boobs.
Okay, I gotta say, this is one of my favorite things. I was watching this, and that happens in the video, and she shoots the hearts, and immediately I was like, oh, I gotta talk on the on the podcast about Care Bear Stare, and then there was an outtake about it at the end. And I was like, yes.
I like to think
Nicely done.
we did that too, because we did it in Paddington too.
Yes.
Was that me and you?
Yeah. I wrote.
Oh,
that
I'm sorry,
outtake.
I wasn't involved in that script. Never mind. I did the edit. Yeah. You wrote the script, but
Yeah, that was Jeremy and I think. But it was one of those moments where I was like, "Yep, we all think alike."
I liked how just afterwards her chest was steaming or was smoking.
Yeah.
And there was just this, is her chest okay? Like, what's going on?
And this is a part, like, going behind the scenes. I love the notes process sometimes when it gets into stuff like that, because, like, I'm sitting there, like, writing to, like, the editors. I was like, I don't know that we can see the smoke from her boobs clear enough. Can we? Is there a better? And I mean, the reason I was saying that was because I wanted to make sure people understood the joke. But it was after you write stuff like that, you think about it for a second. You're like, what am I doing?
What is my job?
Can we get a better angle on the boob smoke? I just don't feel like people are going to understand what's happening here. So is that metaphorical? Danae, is the female on the podcast, like, is there this, like, your breasts are weapons in some way, or like what is Ariana saying with that, or is it just silly?
Well, I didn't think about it that much. Breasts can definitely be weapons,
right?
Especially depending on how big they are. You just swing them around.
Okay,
and people
so you're
can
talking
get hurt.
literal physical weapons.
Oh.
Yes,
well,
I'm
they
trying
can
to
be
speak
emotional weapons too.
I'm just speaking metaphorically. I wonder, if she's trying to say something about how women's bodies are,
My gut tells me there
It's
was
just weird
some
for
brownies
weirdness.
on set, and
I
people
was
were having
actually-
fun and being silly.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was going to say I think there may have been drugs involved. It was an interesting choice for the weapon shape to be a heart instead of like laser.
Well, and what happens with them? This whole video was just a flash to me. So remind me what she's doing with her heart boob bullets. What is she doing with them? What do they make happen in the video?
I think they were shooting at somebody, but I don't remember who.
Yeah, now that you say that, well, the whole idea is that she's the storyline, from what I could tell in the video, is that she wants this guy to be her boyfriend.
Let's
But
treat
then
this
also
like
this
Shakespeare,
other guy,
please.
right?
Huh?
There's two guys she wants to be her boyfriend, right?
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Isn't it though? But I did like the whole part of the music video Sin, where it was like they're in a therapy session. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the entire video.
Yeah.
Is because it
funny.
did look like they were in some sort of, like, I don't know, 2020 version of couples counseling.
Yeah.
Triples counseling. I don't even know what you would call it.
Yeah.
But the open love.
Trio counseling.
Yes.
It's an open love situation.
Triangle.
I think that sometimes you just have to go the route of this is a famous person and they can do whatever they want and people are going to watch it, and that's what we saw.
Well, and she makes a ton of videos. Like, that's kind of become, like, she's definitely one of the people that have really taken into this whole YouTube videos to promote her stuff. And I mean, it feels like every 2 weeks she has a new video coming out, and she has provided the channel with a lot of wonderful content. So,
well, I have to
off.
say this video Sins was eclipsed by the behind the
yes.
Yeah, it was totally eclipsed.
More Ariana
music
Grande
from behind.
later.
That's what it is.
More Ariana Grande
yeah,
to
for
come.
sure. But I do think, going back to the boob shooting, I believe that was directed at that girl that she jumped at once, because she jumps that girl at one point.
So she's killing her with boob love, though. Why not lasers?
Yeah,
I mean, she
it's fascinating.
she shoots one with an arrow. Why not, like, boob lasers?
I think Blue Blazers works better. All of a sudden I'm saying blue blazers.
Also, I had another question for you, Janae. There's a scene in there where it says it's a girl fight with no hair pulling. Does that happen?
Yes, I wanted to talk about this too.
Okay, let's talk about hair pulling.
Is this a stereotype that we need to quit talking about? Like, I mean, you took martial arts.
I've been in fights.
You know how to fight. Like, you know how to punch.
But I've only punched men.
Oh,
So I
Fair
don't
enough.
have personal experience. No, while I was training, this is it's a real problem. You go for what you have, what you can get, and definitely hair pulling is
well, and that's
something
part
that
of it,
happens.
right? Is in general, stereotypically, again, I would say women have longer fingernails, they have longer hair, you know, that kind of thing, and so you've got the scratching and the hair pulling.
There's something like statistically 90% of people who have their hair pulled stop fighting, and then of those who continue to fight, only some percentage, like maybe like 30%. I can't remember the exact.
So it's like an off switch.
God, it's been a long time. They said the idea is, or the reality is, when you're studying any kind of like self defense, is that if somebody grabs your hair, they have control of your head, and so you lose your balance. So, and I mean, there's other things that come along with somebody pulling on your hair. You could have like part of your scalp come off. You could have part of your hair come out. I mean, it's nasty stuff, but you get control of the fight if you control someone's head. So if you grab their hair and you pull it to the ground, then they're going to the ground. So in self-defense, you learn how the first thing you do is you grab their hands on your head so that you can also gain more of your stability. And then you fight kind of closer with elbows and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did this. We had to do this in for our training, was to have someone come at you and they go for your head and they grab your hair, and you have to be able to maintain your balance. So
does it offend you at all to, you know, the stereotypical idea of what a girl fight, quote unquote, would be? Is that annoying?
No, I'm not to me.
Yeah.
I don't get personally offended by it. I've never been in a physical fight with another girl, but I have thought about it before. Yeah. Because, you know, I don't know if you remember this part. I used to have a major anger problem.
No, I actually genuinely was surprised that you've never been in a girl fight.
I've never been. I've only ever.
I would have thought you would have taken out a girl in high school at one point or another.
No. See, girls is more psychological warfare, and it's more mind. I wasn't actually physically in fights with girls.
Oh, I see that with 8-year-old girls.
It's nuts.
It's already like my daughter and her crew. It's already, that psychological warfare is already starting. You're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, and I think it comes from like culture and parenting down. Like they just hear the way things should be, and they're more okay with like just saying it, like, oh, you're not doing that right, da 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 da. Or, oh, you're not supposed to wear that. You're supposed to wear this. Because I think girls are told a lot about what they should and shouldn't be. A lot.
Yeah.
And so as they're learning how to, like, fit in with other people, they're just telling them how it should and shouldn't be. And it ends up really being damaging. But this is me going into deep, deep stuff. I probably would have preferred to get into physical fights with girls rather than some of the psychological stuff.
Hey, yeah.
But I don't think it's, I think it's a stereotype that exists. Because,
for a reason?
Yeah, I think it actually is something that you see because girls, if they decide to, like, if a girl is really, really, really going to fight, though, like, look at the MMA fighters. They tie their hair to their head so that it's not coming out because you can use it against somebody. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, let's move on to the second CinemaSins video of the week. Speaking of girl fights, it's Bolt. I'm just kidding. There are no girl fights in Bolt. I had nothing to go off of there. This is Chris Atkinson and Jonathan Watkins. It's Atkinson-Watkins joint. Can I just say I love this movie?
I had never seen it, which I'm really surprised because my daughter's, you know, this came out a little before she was born, but it was one of those I'm surprised we didn't watch. When she was younger.
I love it. Right up there with the other kind of new era Disney computer generated stuff like you know, Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph. Big Hero 6 is another great one. It stands up there with me. I just think it's really fun. It's interesting. I will say I don't feel like the video gave enough love to Rhino. Rhino is one of the best animated characters of all time.
There were comments on that. I think because Chris and I didn't have an attachment to this movie like some people do.
That's the hamster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that.
I found it wonderfully fun and hilarious, and I think
great premise.
And a very great, that's the thing. It's just a really interesting premise, and it allows for some kind of fun, crazy dog action stuff at the beginning, which, by the way, is completely appropriately sinned for even if it is a production. Like, how is this stuff happening? Like, you know,
well, that's the thing. I mean, it's one of those great premises that if you really, it's, you know, like Cars or something. Like, if you really think about it for a second, some of it falls apart, which is good for sinning purposes.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't mean it's not a good movie. But yeah, the part where that was one I wrote where where I was just watching it and he had the jaws clenched on the car.
Right.
And I was trying to think in my mind, like, well, how did they do that?
Yeah, how would you even shoot that? Like,
and still make him think that he was doing it himself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Travolta and Cyrus, I think, actually do really well with the voice work in this.
They do. They should never have recorded that song, but which unfortunately we could not play. But man, that song it just look
it's
up
not
the
great.
Ending credits of Bolt.
It's not great.
It's been so long since I've watched this movie that I don't know what you're talking about, but now I'll have to go.
Oh, their song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just over the ending credits, and I would watch the video though. It's better because it's just watching Travolta sing with her is hilarious. But anyways, go ahead.
Travolta scares me.
Why does he scare you?
I don't know. As he's gotten older, I just find him to be a very disturbing person.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Let's explore.
Are you sure it's not just what he's done to his face?
Maybe. I don't know. Is that what it is?
Is it because he took his face off?
Oh, gosh.
Do you remember liking it, though? Back when you saw it back in the day? And you remember having a good time with it?
I don't remember not liking it. I think it was just like, oh, that was the movie that I watched. But this is another one of those CinemaSins moments where so many people are like just loving that we did this, hating that we did this. I think I copied, and I'm not going to talk about it when we get to comments later. I think I copied a run of 10 comments where it was like, oh my God, my life is complete. Thank you so much. I've been waiting for this for months. My wife and I are cracking up, laughing. Thank you, thank you. And then, why have you done this to me? You've just ruined my childhood. I hate you.
Yeah, there were a bunch of those. This better just say there are no sins and then end.
Yeah.
There was stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, this entire
It's that
thing.
whole Princess and the Frog thing. Like, every movie has somebody that was their childhood, and it's the best thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is a fascinating thing.
But I will say, Chris and I both liked the movie. I mean, it was written by two people that enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it was good.
And also, talk about like a movie of its time. I mean, James Lipton is one of the voices.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I love in the editing notes process, Aaron actually gave us some notes on this one. And I loved after the John Travolta line, Aaron simply just wrote approved.
As the puns
That was
master.
Chris wrote that, by the way.
Yes, that is great. This movie also gave me the phrase "let's put a pin in that." Comes from this movie. I mean, it obviously existed before this movie, but it kind of brought it to me, and I have said that so many times since seeing this movie back in the day because I think it's hilarious. Anyways, this is one of my favorite movies. I really enjoy this one.
No, I think it's very good. And if it's one of those, because, around that time, Disney was definitely trying to find itself again. So if this is one you missed and you're a fan of these types of movies, I would definitely recommend it.
I got to tell you, what a week. Like, this is really fun. Like, Archer is something I really love. Shazam is something I really love. Bolt is something I really love. Like, this is like, content that I've really enjoyed that we're talking about this week, which is, it's fun because it's a different kind of fun, the stuff we love when we sin it, than the stuff we hate when we sin it.
Well,
so it's
and you really
like
you like smoke boobs. So
right, yeah, of course. Who doesn't like to smoke a good boob? Like, wait, that's not how that works.
That's not how that works, Aaron.
That's not what was in the. I apologize.
Nope.
I apologize for that deeply.
It's okay.
And immensely, and it's a good thing HR is already in the room from our earlier conversation.
They're making notes in the corner.
They're making notes. All right, let's move on to Music Video Sin's second video of the week. This is a Friday thing now. Music from behind is a thing. We are taking, the questions you never asked about the artist that you love and asking them and making up beautiful, fun, obviously very real stories about what happens to these artists. This one was why you can't understand Ariana Grande when she sings. This is fun.
There's a running gag in the music video sins. It's been from almost the get-go because Ariana Grande has been basically around since music video sins started, and it's stayed very popular. And there's the Ariana Grande School of Diction.
Right, yeah.
It's just a running gag in the music video sins universe. Right. And so that's kind of where this originates from. Just like the way she sings, the way she pronounces things. It's interesting.
It's like TV Sins, the Rick on Stark, school of running away from things.
For sure.
Yeah, I clicked this, watched it, loved it, and then immediately went to the comments to find how other people were feeling because they loved the first behind. I keep saying it wrong, music from behind so much. And so same thing in this situation. There was just so much love. And I found another comment that I'm going to do now.
Go for it.
Okay. Because it's just
I like how you
delicious.
found a way to get these comments in here.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
I love it.
Okay, so Angel 3693011 says, "Oh my god, as soon as the sleep songing thing came on, I'm like, wait, let me check and see if this is fake." So I went back like I did last time, and here are all the jokes that came before this person realized that this was a joke. Genie in a Bottle, Anna by her friends, Tim Buckethead, Nelson, Broadway musical Finger Licking Good, played an extra crispy chicken leg. These are all things this person was just okay with thinking were real. I'm skipping over anything that was visual.
Right,
You know, if you're
there's
watching
visual
it,
jokes too. Yeah.
there's so much stuff. Like there's like a fake family that's there, and
Yeah.
Anyway, old racist Native American statues. Still did not get it. They still didn't get it when they all fled the theater. When she was replaced on stage by Savannah Gorgolagonas, who became Selena Gomez. The Okahonka, Florida. And then Mom finishing a nightly box of rosé.
Yeah.
I totally support this segment, by the way. I think you should definitely research this every time we do one of these.
I just
This
can't.
is so funny.
How do you not stop?
I mean,
before
stuff
any
like
of
Genie in a
those?
Bottle. Like, I will say, like, I knew that was Christina Aguilera, but I'm just saying, like, if you're not a huge
Yes.
fan of a lot of these pop artists, I mean, that could easily just slip past you. You might not even hear it.
Sure.
But
Some of these,
the played a chicken leg. Yeah, I
right,
think that
an
would
extra crispy chicken leg.
So great.
And like the visuals that are going along with it is a super, svelte model that has white hair and like a mustache that looks like Colonel Sanders, but
Yeah.
is clearly not. So anyway, I will, as long as these comments exist, yes, Jonathan, I will bring it back.
Nice.
It is great.
I gotta give a shout out to. There's always at least one joke in these that I just can't stop giggling about, and in this one, it's Yuani Agati.
Oh yeah.
The yoga. That whole part of her finding this particular yoga pose that allowed her to find sleep like she was in the womb, and then she had to pull her hair up into a ponytail to maintain it. It was just brilliant. I loved that so much.
I liked she could only move in an 18-inch diameter.
Yeah.
That had
Oh
me
my
cracking
gosh.
up.
Yeah. Well done, Barrett. This is good stuff. Also, well done on the voiceover too.
I like to see how these the channels are branching off, and this is a great kind of I'm trying to think of, I can't think of the word. Maybe branching
Brilliant?
off is as good as word as any.
It's brilliant.
Expansion.
Expansion, yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It is brilliant. It's great stuff. Well, there you go. Those are all the Sins videos for the week. 5 of them, soon to be 6 a week. So it's going to be lots of fun content. And you wonder why we don't talk about the podcast too.
Hey, we're still trying to get into an hour. We're just gonna have to only
we've submitted to 90 minutes. We have fully submitted to 90 minutes. All right, let's move on to some keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
All right, let's each pick 2 tabs that we can remember having open from the week that we might want to talk about, those interesting searches. We'll just kind of go around the horn. Danae, why don't you kick us off?
Awesome. Well, since I didn't write on anything this week, I don't have any. So instead, I'm going to talk about one that I was going to look up because it confused me.
Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. Yeah, no, I like this a lot.
Okay. So this one comes from Archer. A comment said from Tate Avant said, "I'm a big Archer fan, but I have never understood the whole Johnny Bench called joke. Can someone please explain?"
Oh.
So,
well, it's dirty.
Okay.
So just be aware
that the HR's in the room.
The HR is making notes.
Did you not look it up, Danae?
No, I didn't. I decided not to because I thought, well, I'll just...
I have yet to meet someone who got it without looking it up.
Yeah, I think I had to look it up. I'll let Aaron
I definitely had to look it up. I didn't get it without looking it up. I know when Chris talked about it, he didn't get it without looking it up. The idea is, the full joke is Johnny Bench called. He wants his catcher's mitt back.
Okay.
And the catcher's mitt is in relation to a saggy vagina. So
wow, this is a conversation I never saw us having.
And so it's in reference to his mother.
His mother's.
Johnny Bench called and he wants his mom's vagina.
He wants his catcher's mitt back. In other words, her vagina looks like a catcher's mitt.
But the joke definitely works better if you just say Johnny Bench called. If you go to the extreme with that, it's not, you're just going to be like, ugh.
So somebody's upset that a vagina is aging naturally?
Yes, thank you.
Well, okay.
Yes, Danae.
Okay, well, that's a disappointing conversation to have.
The HR rep is scribbling furiously in the corner right now. So.
Can you imagine if we really had somebody
But the reason
here?
he says it the first time, though, is because he walks in on his mother pleasing herself.
Oh.
So it's kind of a, and so it's like he's very disturbed. But as Chris said when we talked about this on the Sincast, he's also Archer. So he has to say something.
Right.
And then I can't even remember why he says it the second time. I don't remember what
He's trying to diffuse the erection he got while
that's
holding
right.
her.
He gets an erection while... Yeah, that's right. When he finds out his mom's going to get shot.
This just reminds me, sometimes you watch something and you forget very key moments. Like the things I remember about Archer was he was clever. He was handsome. He walked into a laundry place to get into the secret place.
Uh-huh.
I forgot all the rest of it.
My guess is somebody involved in the writing on Archer thinks Sigmund Freud is an idiot and plays up on that a lot.
Well, I will say that thank you for saving me that search, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Our friendship continues to go to really interesting new places.
Listen, you ask a question. I had the answer to that question. I gave you the answer to the question.
I
That's all there
appreciate
is
that.
to it.
I learned my lesson. Keeping tabs, your turn.
Jonathan, why don't you go next?
This is kind of a weird take on this, but I did think it was worth mentioning because I didn't have a whole lot of weird stuff I looked up. But on Bolt, for one of the outtakes, I wanted to do James Lipton. For those of you who don't know who James Lipton is, he used to host this show. I don't know if it's still on or not, but it's called Inside the Actor Studio. It was really huge. As huge as a show like that can be. I would say like late aughts.
Yeah,
around
it
the
definitely
time
entered
Bolt
into
came out.
Yeah, it entered into the pop culture consciousness.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And there was this questionnaire, and I don't have this information in front of me. I can't remember what the questionnaire is called, but it's some questionnaire that he had, and it was this list of questions that he would always ask the actors. And one of those on there was, when you get to heaven, what do you want God to say to you, or whatever?
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Exactly. And so I wanted to have an outtake over the character that James Lipton is voicing asking that question, or one of those questions.
Yeah.
It is impossible to find a quality recording of Inside the Actors Studio.
Oh,
it
wow,
always
that surprises
amazes me what you can't find online, because everything is out there, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever you look for something and you can't find it, it drives me crazy. I ended up actually having to use Will Ferrell impersonating
doing the imitation,
James
yeah.
Lipton.
So the questionnaire that he would use is called the Pivot Questionnaire, and it came from a French series, and the host's last name was Pivot. Danae, have you ever heard these questions? Do you know anything about Inside the Actors Studio?
I do remember watching it, but I don't remember the question specifically.
So there are 10 questions. What is your favorite word?
Boobs.
What is your least favorite word?
Vagina.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
HR in the corner.
What turns you off?
HR in the corner.
What is your favorite curse word?
Boobs.
What sound or noise do you love? What sound or noise do you hate? What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Yes.
What profession would you not like to do?
That one.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Sweet Jesus, she's here.
I'm so glad I brought this up now. That was amazing.
Was it? Because I was terrified the entire time.
I have another question. What is our profession? I never really thought about that until you asked that question.
We are comedy writers. Yeah,
we are
comedy writers is
okay,
what
I'll
I would
take
say.
that.
So
You're also a podcaster.
we're podcasters, content creators.
We're Renaissance people.
We corral content.
To be fair, I might not understand what Renaissance means. Make that very
All right,
clear.
my turn.
Yes.
For keeping tabs. So I Googled best way to carry nunchucks because the bully was carrying the nunchucks in Shazam in his back pocket. And I couldn't think of a worse place to carry nunchucks than your back pocket. Like, there's no way you can sit down anywhere, right? So I had actually originally written a sin on this that rightfully got cut from the script. But
I was going to say, I don't remember this.
I see where this is going, I think.
So I had Googled, best way to carry nunchucks to see if there was a better, funnier way to, carry them or something like that. But I ended up not being able to find much. But I did end up making a joke that I was sad that got cut in that because at the end of that nunchuck sin, I said, I'm just mad because the word nunchucks reminds me we're 30 minutes in and I still haven't seen Zachary Levi because he, of course, was Chuck in the TV show Chuck. So nunchucks.
I did not know where that was going.
I like how Jonathan corrected himself. He's like, I didn't actually see this one.
Well,
at all.
I just thought he was nunchucks in the back.
I love that we have a place to reprise the jokes that we wanted to live.
That's right.
Because this one works better, like us talking about it. I think
I like
any
doing
weapon
deleted
though,
sins in
right?
here.
I mean, like it's weird to me when like cops put guns in their pants. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Or like a knife?
Yeah, it is difficult, I would think, to like sit down and eat or whatever. I've
Maybe
actually
movie
watched
characters
police
don't sit
officers sit down, and it's really it's terribly uncomfortable looking because you have to kind of like you have to have this whole belt of just destruction that you have to be so careful with.
Yeah. Only cops and Batman know what that's like.
Where is the best place to keep nunchucks?
I would guess in their own case, probably, or in your front pocket
Like
if you have a big enough pocket. Yeah,
just
like
hold
a holster.
'em.
They need a holster. You need a holster.
That's the thing. He should have just been holding those when he got out of the vehicle. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason he would have them in his hand. They would have been in the vehicle somewhere, but he would have had to go back in the vehicle and get them. Why is he bringing them out of the vehicle?
They're expensive.
I don't know. It was very convenient nunchucks, and I just wanted to make note of that.
Convenient nunchucks are convenient.
Yes, exactly. Jonathan, you got another one?
Yes, Aaron. I do have another one. The only other one I had was from Archer, and it was the flight attendant that he is shagging or whatever you want to say. She has a dog, and so I wanted to know if flight attendants could carry dogs on a plane, and this was also from a sin that we ended up not using.
Correct.
Because Chris, rightfully so, was like, well, maybe she could carry a dog on a plane, but like I don't know, for some reason I thought that was ridiculous. And I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's not, but I just like, where do they put the dog?
Man, people take so many animals on planes.
Did you write the joke about the dog not living because of being shipped on a plane in packing foam?
Oh, for Bolt, I did. Yeah, where he's in the container.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere. He couldn't breathe.
By the way, I thought that was brilliant.
Well, because he would have been dead. Yeah, and that would have been a very sad movie.
Wouldn't it have been?
Yes, it would have.
I'm also pretty sure I wrote the one about
agree.
him ending up with
Dog
a cocaine
death is
problem.
sad. Dog death is something that would make me cry. I agree. My other one comes from that same scene as well.
Are you about to talk about the ping pong paddle moment?
I am about to talk about the ping pong paddle moment because
I laughed so hard at that.
I searched what kind of mark would spanking someone with a ping pong paddle make. I just wanted to, make sure.
Your Google search is shameful.
Well, because it has the handle on it. How are you spanking someone where it's making a mark with the handle?
You're not wrong, and I also love how you crafted the joke to be where Jeremy's like, and I do this for you.
That's right. I just paused this just for you guys.
This was for you that I researched this.
As somebody, I think in the comments was like, well, she could have slept on it, and that's where the mark came from.
Yeah, Aaron.
And I'm like, no, that is not what the show is indicating. That is not what they're saying. They're saying they had weird ping pong paddle sex, and you know it.
It's more likely that they wake up with, like, I don't know, a spoon or something. Like, they fell asleep eating something, and then, like, they... Okay, I've done that before.
I was going to say, is this from your life, Danae? I feel like you're telling a personal story now.
The part where you mentioned the handle was on there, though.
Yeah.
That was the part that killed me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why is the handle on there?
These are the questions that we ask.
These are
for
the questions.
you.
For you. All right, let's move on then. Let's get on to the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
All right, we're going to do the comment section, and really cool. Thank you so much for your direct questions you're getting us at the email. That is behindthesinspod@gmail.com, behindthesinspod@gmail.com. Whoever has behindthesins@gmail.com, Probably going to get a few emails every once in a while.
Probably.
Don't know who that is, but Behind the Sins Pod, if you want to get through to us. So we're going to answer, I should say, a couple of those questions you've sent us, but we also still do want to highlight some comments. So each of us is going to pick one comment. Jonathan, why don't you go first?
Something I guess wrote, "Welp, you managed to murder 3% of my childhood," which that was really specific.
That is so specific.
I know. I was like, what's the other 97% we can ruin, and let us know how.
That is such a great estimate because most people would over exaggerate that. But a movie, of course, 3% is a lot of your childhood for one movie.
Especially if well, did you obsessively watch a movie when you were a kid?
Of course.
So that maybe this was that was the one.
I know, but I'm saying most people would go like, you murdered 70% of my childhood. And it's like, what, did you not eat? Did you not have friends? Did you not, have a home that you lived in?
The Ghostbusters, when, because heaven forbid we have female Ghostbusters. When we discovered how sad a lot of our world was when that movie got announced, there were a lot of guys saying, like, "Oh, you've ruined my childhood." And there was I don't know who wrote the tweet, but it was a great tweet of just that basically summed up like, if this ruins your childhood, then I'm really sorry for your childhood. Basically, like, what did you not do anything else other than watch Ghostbusters?
Right, exactly.
And be offended by females.
Yeah. No, that's a really good one.
Danae, to be fair, I mean, it's females. Come on.
I'm like super offensive. That's why boobs is like a curse word,
And then I think you might have mentioned this one, but a partially peeled potato, which I absolutely love that YouTube name. CinemaSins ruins a perfectly good childhood movie cliche.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty impressive.
All right, I'll go next. This one comes from, I'm going to say, Guelph Racing. Guelph Racing. Sure. And I don't even know what video this was on. But as I was scrolling down, I read this comment from Guelph that says, "Hey, random person scrolling down the comments. Have a wonderful day." Smiley face. And the best thing is it had like 200 likes on it. And I was just like, yes, I love this. This is wonderful.
That happens on Imager a lot where somebody will post like a GIF of like a nice, calm, serene scene and says, "Hello, traveler. Take a moment and relax." And like has all these people that love it because you're just watching this beautiful kind of like nature moment.
Yeah. So. It just snaps you out of your mindless scrolling. You know, it's just like one of those things. Oh, there's a whole world out there.
You care about me? Thanks.
So I like that one. Danae, what about you? What's your comment?
I picked one from Shazam, from Emil Davidson, who said, this was in reference to Shazam being hit by the bus. "I've driven in Philadelphia a lot, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that bus hitting the guy in the road without stopping is accurate."
It's funny because I actually wrote a sin in Shazam. There's a moment where he saves the oldest foster sister from being hit by a dump truck. And I had written a sin about how inconsiderate that driver was because that driver doesn't touch the brakes, doesn't honk, just keeps on barreling through. And he can obviously see her. Like in the movie, you can see his line of sight can see her. And he doesn't even touch the brakes. It's just like, So that one got cut. But, I'm just saying accurate Philly, drivers are portrayed.
Emil.
According to the comments.
We'll back you up.
Back me up all the way on that. All right, let's get to the questions from you. This one comes to us from Ireland. This is from Jen in Ireland. Should I try it in an Irish accent?
Nope.
If HR wasn't in the corner?
Nope.
All right, here we go. Hello.
I wish I could do an accent like that.
It's one of my favorite accents.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I know.
Yeah, it is such a beautiful accent.
There's one story that was told on one of my favorite podcasts called The Moth. And it's from somebody who lives in Ireland. And I love the story and I love the person telling it. And I just would listen to it over and over again.
It's so great,
wishing that I could make my mouth do stuff.
All right. Hello, CinemaSins B Team. Loving the new podcast. The three of you have such great chemistry.
Thanks.
My question comes from noticing that David F. Sandberg, the director of Shazam, tweeted a photo of himself watching the Sins video of Shazam. He seemed to really get the spirit of the channel and was having fun with it. We've heard from Jeremy, Barrett, and Chris regarding knowing that directors follow your channel. How do you three feel about this? Is it something you even think about? Who would be your favorite director to interact with? Keep up the great work, and I hope I get to see you all at Sin Week.
Woo! Are you going to come in from Sin Week? Will you be offended if I just ask you to say a whole bunch of words and teach me how to talk like you?
It'd be funny. It says best wishes from Ireland, Jen. It'd be funny if she actually was born in the Bronx and just has been in Ireland for a couple months.
Still teach me your accent and know that I am not trying to be offensive. I just love learning.
We hope to see you at Sin Week as well. And so David Sandberg, as mentioned, tweeted that photo of himself. What is your answer to this question, guys? How do you feel about this?
I know I'm good with it. I mean, I don't know why I would be offended.
Well, she again, and I mentioned this, a little bit earlier. She seems to think that David gets the spirit of the channel and is having fun. But do you get nervous about it? Do you feel like it's more likely that a director is going to hate us than like us? Like in general, kind of how do we feel about that?
Yeah, I've gotten to where I don't really think about it. Like especially when I'm writing the script and I'm more just thinking about getting the product out there. Mm-hmm. I know after it hits sometimes, like I'll think about maybe things I wrote. And to be fair, like one of the things we really try not to do is just be like mean.
That's why all my jokes get cut. I'm getting it.
If we do it better, and here's the thing. There's a difference between roast mean and just being mean. And I think that's the difference sometimes you're going to see. If there's a great roast style joke that, says somebody's a bad actor, or, like we'll say stuff like, for a movie director, such and such really is a good skier or whatever, that kind of joke or whatever. That's like a roast style joke as opposed to just saying you suck. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's kind of where the difference comes in, I think, a little bit.
I don't think it makes me nervous as much as I hope that the guys who've been doing this for longer, since I'm so new, I don't have a lot of experience to kind of draw from. So I guess technically this is the first time it's happened since I've been on the team. And I think mine is more like, oh God, I hope that the guys are feeling okay about it, because
interesting. Yeah, I kind of have that too.
My heart is for the team because I know how passionate they are about this medium, and they know that they love movies, and I love that they love everything about film. And so that's what I get nervous about. Not necessarily that it's being watched by people, but that whatever the ramifications are, of the attention being kind of brought our way.
Well, and I love stuff too. Like one of my favorite, I think. Well, I mean, Chris McKay, he did the Lego Batman movie, and I think when that video was released, he tweeted it out saying, "Oh, this is awesome! CinemaSins is doing my movie." The Christopher McQuarrie was really interesting too, where there were I don't know if it was fans of ours or people that didn't like us. I can't remember at this point, but were tweeting the link to him for Mission Impossible. I believe it was the last one.
Fallout.
And there were some people being pretty mean in the comments and stuff. And he actually said, whoa, like, this is ridiculous. Like, I have no problem with this. And, leave them alone. And then even made the joke, like, he took 3 cents off for the video or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love stuff like that. I mean, obviously that's great. And then some of them obviously don't like us. And, but no, I mean, I don't, but if the question is like, while we're writing, do I like contemplate whether or not like this director is going to look at it or this actor? I just, that doesn't really cross my mind, because my gut tells me the majority of them don't see it.
I totally agree. For the most part, my answer is no. I don't even think about that. My thought is for you. I want to make you smile. I want to make you laugh. I want to give you a good time. That is my key goal.
Who would be some of your favorite directors to interact with? Did you guys have an answer to that?
Oh man, I have been privileged enough to actually have conversations with some of my favorite directors because of the awards every year and that kind of. In fact, my conversation with Damien Chazelle it'll be a highlight of my life. And so like those kind of people, I would love if I knew Damien Chazelle had seen the La La Land video, which actually the very first sins I ever wrote are in that video, and enjoyed it, got a smile from it. And that's what I said to David too. Like, that's my whole thing. Like, I hope we made you smile. Like, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. I hope, that it can all be in good fun and, that you're having a good time with it. So Damien Chazelle, Ryan Coogler, a lot of these young directors, would be really fun to, know that they were into it.
Cool. Yeah, my answer is almost always Shane Black, and he's not necessarily my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
He's not necessarily my favorite director. He is one of my favorite writers of all time, but I really like his work, and he's directed some great movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. But he's just one. I just feel like I feel like we would get along, so I think that's why he's the one that always pops in my head. I also wrote down Rennie Harlan just because I've heard like interviews with him and stuff, and he just seems like a crazy and insane person. So that's always fun. And then John Carpenter, who's just one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, that'd be fun too. Today, what about you? Do you have ever even considered like the big movie makers, or hearing the things you write? And
thankfully, whatever I write is just part of a soup, and you never know. Unless you love it, and then I'll tell you that it was me.
I think that's all of us.
But no, and the other thing, which I know we've referenced multiple times and will continue to do so, is I forget the names of actors, I forget the names of directors, and I don't really think about it much as far as like what a director is doing, because I'm the person that just consumes the media.
Sure, yeah.
So I think my mind is starting to shift. I'm in the early stages of like shifting into this new person. So the first name that came to my mind, as far as one of the only people that I can think of whenever this person directs something, I actually really enjoyed it, is Whedon. Joss Whedon.
Yeah, great answer.
Is it Sweden or Jaw? I don't know.
No, it's Joss
Whedon.
That's
right. I like Joss Whedon. I think the first thing that he did did he do Firefly?
He did.
I loved Firefly so much.
He did Buffy and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel before that. And then of course he worked on a lot of like he wrote on Alien Resurrection, and didn't he have something to do with Toy Story?
Yeah, that I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
He is credited as a co-writer of the original Toy Story.
Yeah.
Oh, well then I guess that's my first one technically.
Yeah, right.
And I remember, I think when he did, well, obviously he got involved in Avengers, I think at one point in time, and then there was another one with Star Trek.
No, you're thinking J.J. Abrams. I think doing Star Trek. I don't think Joss Whedon has ever been involved with Star Trek.
No, he hasn't. But yeah, he did work. He directed the first two Avengers movies and wrote.
And I think at the time I was on Sif Pop more, which is Aaron's other pop culture podcast, and was listening to more of the commentary about how it takes a very special and specific kind of skill set to bring together a massive cast, and how he was really equipped and talented at doing that in a way where everyone felt like they had screen time, but then also it moves the storyline, doesn't just feel like, and here's another appearance, and here's another appearance, and here's another appearance.
Well, and I think, TV, so. I mean, really talented like TV producers and directors have got to be, and writers. I mean, that would be my first choice for something like that, just because they handle a lot of multiple character they handle a lot of ensembles. Some would argue that the MCU movies have become too much like television shows. But,
Well, some would argue about everything.
And at the end of the day, that's kind of the thing, right? And I really appreciate this question. I think it's really exciting to know that there are directors and fans and so many who love us. And I think at the end of the day, that's where I land in the optimistic view, which is I really do think the haters are a very small portion of the movie-loving audience. So it's definitely an interesting journey.
There's some sort of proverb about when you shine light on the weeds, they grow.
I thought you were doing a William Shatner impersonation there for a second. That was interesting.
Really? Oh, thank you.
When you shine... No, I just go into Christopher Walken. I can't help it. Second question from you. This is from Tom via the email address again. Hey, guys. Loving the podcast so far. The behind-scenes stuff of your universe has been really interesting to listen to.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work. Feedback question I thought could be fun to answer on the show. Which do you find more enjoyable to sin? Bad movies where you can really tear into the stupidity, or good movies where you have to be more creative and why? Personally, I usually find the bad movies funnier to watch, especially when Jeremy gets angry. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for all the laughs. This is a great question. I have a very strong answer. I much prefer to send stuff I love. And I don't know why that is. I think there's because I know, like, probably my naive optimist brain just loves the idea that, you know, you can poke fun at something you really enjoy. And when it's something I don't like, I know that I'm being a little more serious. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so then I'm like trying to go, okay, just don't be mean. Don't be, you know, make good points and make people laugh and give them a good smile, but you're not here to destroy something. You are here to have a good time. And it's harder for me to remind myself of that when it's something I actively hate.
Well, and I think just watching a good movie is more enjoyable. So, I mean, we're watching the movie as we write the script, so I just prefer to watch something I like. I will say if it's going to be bad, though, really bad is better. You know, just just watching a movie. I mean, middle of the road is always probably the worst.
Yeah,
where it's just kind of dull and there's just not a lot going on.
I was just thinking, like, there's one that's upcoming that I'm mad that I have to watch, and I can't tell you what it is yet, but one that's a similar feel is The Handmaid's Tale. Mm-hmm. I was not having a good time. I was hating it, but that would be like more middle of the road, whereas maybe like a bad movie would be, you know, one of those old cheesy sci-fi ones from like the 80s where it's just bad because it's just bad, and those are kind of even fun because they're bad.
Yeah.
Where you
that's
can find,
best case scenario.
where you can find, like, you know, the sins are just coming easy because it's ridiculousness
because they're right there.
Yeah. So, and we haven't done one of those yet for this channel. I've been a guest on podcasts before where the whole point is to talk about a horrible movie. But I agree with Aaron in that there's something about, like, when you're enjoying yourself and the sins kind of come, you're in like a lighter mood. Whereas, for example, what happened with Handmaid's Tale, it's like I'm soured. I'm not having a good time and I'm soured. My mood is soured. And so it's harder for me to find a place for my brain to go to find an entertaining way to tell my personal story through the narrator's voice of what I'm feeling. And so that becomes
well said.
So much more difficult from an emotional perspective because you really have to, like, I almost have to watch it just to watch it to get it done, and then I have to watch it again and again multiple times just to pull my head out of my ass and, like, try to actually watch something from like a neutral perspective.
Well, and to be fair, you never really know what the experience is going to be like. Even if you've seen the movie before, I mean, you know, when you watch the movie originally, you're not thinking about this, or you haven't seen it in a long time. So you never really know what the experience writing on it's going to be like. I would say 9 times out of 10, the movies I enjoy end up being better experiences. But occasionally, the bad movies, like The Snowman was one of my favorite ones to work on, as far as, like, just had a fun time, because that movie is insane.
Yeah.
Did we both worked on that one as well?
Yeah, we both wrote on that.
Yeah, and it's really bad. Like, probably one of the worst movies at least one of the worst studio films I've ever seen.
Well, and I am fresh off a CinemaSins script of a movie that I think is terrible. Yeah. But it is terrible, and I think the video comes out next week. But it is terrible in a way that is best case scenario terrible, like you were talking about, Danae, where it feels fun because it's just so bad. And it's just, there is something fun about, like, figuring out ways to word that, jokes to say about that kind of stuff. The worst case scenario of a terrible movie is it's terrible in a way that is dark or depressing or mediocre. Like, mediocre terrible is the worst kind of movie to send because...
Or TV show
because, or any kind of content, because it's one of those things where you could say the same thing over and over and over again. It's, you know, how many different ways can you say this is boring, or how many different ways can you say this is pretentious? So, and I know people, including myself, really like the first season of True Detective, but our True Detective video was kind of that way, where it's like, how many different ways can we just say this is just, you know, boring and pretentious? You know what I mean? So
yeah, that was one where I remember starting that and thinking, oh man, I kind of wish we had picked something else.
Yeah.
I think we even had that conversation afterwards.
Well, and maybe we'll learn our lesson eventually. Maybe we'll quit picking True Detective and Handmaid's Tale and
one that.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I do think. Well, yeah, Handmaid's Tale is such a popular thing, though.
That's the thing.
That one made sense, but I definitely think True Detective probably kept us away from things that we might have tried to do otherwise.
Thank you for those questions, guys. Again, you can email us behindthesinspod@gmail.com. All right, let's finish this thing off. Let's go beyond the sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Let's talk about something else in the area of pop culture that you guys are checking out. Danae, why don't you kick us off?
I have 2 things.
Ooh.
Because I can't follow the rules.
No, you can't.
Okay, well, one is actually not like a pop culture thing, but it's this thing I think is super cool, and you guys might like it. It's something you can get on like Amazon or something. It's $18. You know the things like you glue onto the back of phones, and then you can...
Are you going to talk about your eye ring?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if I said eye ring, I felt like people would think I had a piercing, and so I just wanted to kind of describe it a little bit first.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways that you can hold onto your phone without like worry, but I've had an eye ring on the back of my phone for like 5 or 6 years, and it's loosened up a little bit from being able to like hold your phone up so you can watch TV or your screen or stream stuff or whatever. But I have hated it in another way because with the wireless charging technology, it won't come off, but they make a new one now where you can actually slide the eye ring off of your phone, and then it's flush against your phone. So you can also wirelessly charge, and then when you're done, you just slide the ring back on.
Oh, nice.
So I really thought, I don't think I'm the only one that's going to love this. I want to tell my friends on Behind the Sins about it. So
this is different than a pop socket in the sense that it actually attaches to you.
Yeah, it's a ring. It's a ring. You slide
it's
it over
actually
your
a ring.
finger.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got one of these as well, and I've used mine for the last couple of years. I remember I got one when Danae showed me, and I got a off-brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it like loosened up almost immediately, like where it wouldn't stay. Because it rotates in different ways.
Right.
So
you can spin the ring around in different ways.
Because it has like a stand that you can stick the ring into, those kind of things. So I have a car thing for it.
I've loved this. The brand is called Aux, AAUXX. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend it. That was going to be my quick little beyond.
I will just say the only thing I don't like about it is that it does this eye naming thing that is synonymous with Apple, and it's a full mobile product. So
it's fine.
I think people would think it's just
fine.
an Apple product.
But the other thing I wanted to tell you guys about, I got some positive feedback about like games that I've recommended, and so I'm going to talk about one of the only games that I've managed to keep on my phone for the last several years, and it's called Polytopia. I've actually talked about it on Sif Pop before. So forgive me if you've listened to that. You're like, but I still love this game. This is like one of those sort of like a Minecraft type game from back in the day, like from the 90s. No, Warcraft. I'm sorry. Warcraft game where you start off on a map and you're like this village and the whole map is like blacked out or whatever. And you have to explore to find resources and fight the other people and take over their city. But it's a mobile version and it's really fun to play. So it comes with, I think, 4 different tribes already unlocked, and then you can pay like 99 cents for the extra, which I have a bunch of free money from Google because I take their surveys on their app. If you don't have the app, Google Opinion Rewards, get that because then they just give you free money for answering survey questions, and so then you can use that to buy games unless you're Apple product, and then that won't work for you. But anyway, so Polytopia is super fun. It's bright and colorful, and you can actually play other people if you want to get into battles with other people. So my code for who I am is stupid long, so maybe I can like share it on Discord or Twitter or something like that if you guys want to play. But anyways, those are my, I guess, 3 things I've mentioned. The Aux Eye Ring, super, super great. Polytopia, the app game, super, super great. And also Google Opinion Rewards for free money. Okay, bye.
All right, Jonathan, what do you got?
So I took my daughter and a friend of hers to see Dora and the Lost City of Gold this weekend. And that has got to be... Well, first off, I was surprised she even wanted to see it. She's 8 years old. She hasn't watched Dora in like probably 3 or 4 years.
Sure, yeah.
But I guess because it's live action and it's teenager, maybe that had some more interest to her. I don't know. But I took her and her friend, and I'm telling you right now, man, that movie is legit.
That is
legit bad?
So
good.
Hilarious.
Really?
That is. I'm so glad you're talking. I saw your tweet.
Yeah.
Tell me how this movie is any good.
Or you sound like Frank Kemp just got on this show. No, it's well done. I mean, it's so
Great.
well written. It's
That's
very
great.
clever. It's very funny. It does a very good job at kind of playing around with the way that the cartoon is. In a fun way, like not in a mean-spirited way, but it kind of pokes fun at some of the stuff, like her talking to the camera and like the fictional, like the animals that talk and the backpack and all that kind of stuff. It plays around with a lot of that in a really fun way. Especially, I think, for people that grew up watching that, which, I mean, I can't ever say I was really a fan of it. I wasn't a kid when it first came out, but I've watched it a lot with my daughter, so I'm very aware of like what's going on in it. So it does a good job there. It's a really it's a fun story. It kind of reminded me of Jumanji, the last Jumanji movie, where you just kind of had like this fun adventure story.
But here's the question.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Does Swiper actually do swiping?
He does.
Is that okay?
And he is voiced by Benicio del Toro. He doesn't play a huge part in it, but no, they actually do incorporate like some of the characters, like some of the animals and stuff into it. Like Boots is in it. Boots is adorable. Like Boots is a really cool like CG creation. But the big thing about it, I think more than anything though, Isabella Moner. I probably haven't felt this since like seeing like Happy Death Day, but like watching like an actress just kind of come out of nowhere. She's gonna do something. She's great. She cool. gives a full on performance.
Nice.
And it's really good. And I think that's partly why this movie works is because they actually, I mean, it's fun, it's lighthearted and all that kind of stuff, but they do take it seriously. Like they're not, it's not like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of thing. Like, I mean, they actually tell a story and it's very diverse. I mean, I didn't even think about it till I got to the theater, the large amount of like Hispanic audience members that were there.
Sure.
I'm sure that's a big thing to have like this kind of a character in a big budget, big release, and it's actually like it's good. Like it's really well done.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I is the map's voice a little less annoying? Like that was always the thing about Dora is whenever the map would come on, I could not leave it on even if my kids were around. I'd be sorry guys. I mean, the map is talking and we're gone.
I will say the map doesn't play a huge part into it as far as like the
Good.
There is like I don't want to give away too much. There is a moment in the movie where it goes a little like off script and it shows some of like those types of characters. And it's a great moment, but you don't really hear that voice a lot. So really, Swiper and Boots are kind of the only
good because
tertiary characters.
I hate the map. Yeah, it's no fun.
I never watched Dora.
But seriously,
I have no idea what you
don't
two
have
are
a
talking
child
about.
that is interested in watching this, I mean, I don't. I mean, you could probably wait and just watch it, on TV or whatever. But definitely, if you have a kid, you're on the fence with this. Just go. I mean, it's
nice.
It's well worth a watch. We had a lot of fun. So.
Very cool. Yeah. I'm going to talk a little bit about a Netflix show that just launched its 3rd season.
Ooh, let me guess.
Sure, go ahead.
That one show.
The one show that what, Danae?
Conquered the world.
No world conquering from this show.
Oh, okay.
No. It's the one show about the lady wrestlers. Glow, nice. Season 3 just came out on Netflix.
Yeah, I saw this one on my recommended list for Netflix.
Have you ever watched any of the other seasons or any episodes or anything?
No, apparently they just know I like to wrestle.
HR just started really just going at it over there.
Hey, I got so much more. You just hang out in the corner and wait.
So I love this show. I ever since season 1, I always end up talking about it. And I think what I love most about it is it has such a very distinct and important female perspective that I just find enlightening and interesting. And because it has so many female characters, it has such a variety of female experience and ideas and interesting things that are said. And this season is no different. And I'm not saying there aren't, I mean, there obviously are male characters as well. And there's some really interesting dynamic things happening with some of the things that they're going through too, especially Mark Maron's character who kind of manages the whole thing. But it's one of those things where when I find a show where I connect to the characters in a personal way, where I feel like, oh, these are real people and I'm invested in their lives, I just get into the show in this way. And these are such well-drawn characters that I have a great time. So not only is it funny, and not only does it have like that 80s nostalgia thing because it takes place in the 80s, because by the way, there were TV shows like this in the 80s.
Oh, yes.
So it has that going for it, but it also has that depth that I love, and the thing that I love where I walk away from each episode going, oh, what do I think about that? Oh, that's an interesting perspective. I've never thought about it from their, viewpoint, and that feeds my soul. So I love that kind of stuff, and this show seems to do it really, really well. So
yeah, I haven't seen the third season yet, but I watched the first two. It's I'm a fan. I love how it's not afraid to get into conflict with the characters.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, and there's consequences, and I mean, the writing's great. I don't know how else to put it. And Mark Maron might be my favorite, like one of my all-time favorite funny assholes on any show. I mean,
well, and there's some fascinating stuff happening with him and his daughter. In this season. There was a little bit of it in the last season, but it goes to some interesting places. I actually haven't watched the last 2 episodes of the season. I've watched 8 of them. There's 10. And they range from about 25 minutes long to 40 minutes long. So it just, kind of in that, half-hour range, a little more, a little less. Alison Brie is one of my favorites. I've loved her since Community. She's great. Betty Gilpin is great in this as well.
Betty Gilpin's awesome.
Right down the line, this entire female cast just doing some really great work. Kia Stevens, who plays Welfare Queen in the show, I'm loving her work in season 3. She has a really interesting storyline. And that's the other thing about shows like this, and also Orange is the New Black just came out with a new season as well, which also has all these different female perspectives. One of the things about these shows is that it really is willing to get into the nitty gritty of different kind of personalities and different kind of, philosophies and ideas. And I don't know, I really dig that. So I would heavily recommend, if you haven't seen Glow, it's a pretty quick, easy watch each season. Just binge it sometime. I think you'll have a good time. So, and of course, it's Netflix, so it's not, I guess not all Netflix stuff you don't watch with your kids, but it's not one to watch with the kids around.
No.
So there you go. Glow season 3.
Awesome.
Because the spandex?
Well, or lack of spandex.
Oh.
I think the Skindex.
HR.
It's because of the Skindex. Would be one of the reasons.
Oh, that's a funny portmanteau.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Yes! God, I'm learning. Look at me go.
That's going to do it for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. Speaking of which, wanted to give a shout out to somebody who left a comment on the Behind the Sins on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for doing that. We have several comments. This one comes from, I'm going to pronounce this name as I see it. I'm going to say G-Sai-Yak-Jerk-J-T. Commented this on Behind the Sins, says, more than sins, listen to this podcast for behind the scenes insight into the CinemaSins videos, creation, reception, and intent. It's amazing to hear the discussion go from the jokes in these videos to philosophical discussions about pop culture I never knew I wanted. So thank you. We appreciate that. If you'd like to leave a comment, it does help other people find us as well. And go ahead and throw some stars at us while you're there. Also, you can contact us via email. We are behindthesinspod@gmail.com if you want to contact us that way. Also, hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says. He is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, and myself, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to behindthesinspod@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe or message us at Twitter. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Have you ever had to like squat and pee at the same time?
No, I have an external organ that I can aim anywhere I need to. So
I want one of those so bad. Then I could just pee wherever I want it. What's up?
The video from last week, the Family Guy video's up.
Is it?
Yeah. No, Danae, we don't have time. We can talk about that next week. Yeah, Danae and I were having a fascinating conversation on hover peeing.
Mm-hmm.
What you say? Oh, like Jonathan's not going to hear it when I put it in the outtakes of this episode.
Are you seriously going to put that in the outtakes?
I mean,
when are you going to learn everything? Can go in the outtakes.
I have been getting some incredibly positive feedback about my shenanigans, which only encourages me. I'm just saying that he should try it as a sort of punishment for what I have to endure in the disgusting bathroom downstairs.
Yeah, my boys have this bathroom downstairs where we work, and they do not do a good job of keeping it clean.
Oh, I'm sure they don't.
I don't think that they realize somebody has to sit on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hey,
yeah.
We're gross at that age. What are you going to do?
Leave Post-it notes everywhere for
that's
them.
Right. That's what Danae does. She leaves Post-it notes.
Call a family meeting. I've done everything but face-to-face conversation.
She's done everything but drag them into the bathroom and
rip their tongue out, make them clean it.
Right, yeah.
Like, here.
It's probably good you haven't done that.
Yeah.
No, I'm all for it. Teach him a lesson, Danae. Teach him a lesson.
Okay, so quick question. You only have one answer. Would you take a cheaper flight or a direct flight? And if you only have
direct and a heartbeat.
Man, me too.
My legs, man.
I hate getting off and on planes. I started reading the first chapter of a new book that starts off in a plane.
Yeah? What book is that, Danae?
Strings! The first chapter is available for free right now. Wait, where did our questions come in from?
From the email.
Oh, okay.
So, did you not read your email, Danae?
Nope. I guess I didn't.
It'd be less funny if it didn't happen every single time the entire history of our relationship.
I have read them before. I promise.
You do realize reading the first email doesn't mean you've read all the ones that happen after that, right? Like it doesn't just cover all of them.
I'm gonna take a picture and post it on Discord right now of my face.
Yep. Hey, Danae, I know you.
I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just playing on my phone.
Somebody's got a guilty conscience.
What's up?
You sounded just like my daughter just then. I am doing nothing, Daddy.
You closed the vent,
100%.
and I'm sweating now.
Oh, cool. You should just take off one of the layers. You are okay. It is 95 degrees outside. And you're wearing a long-sleeved, thick shirt.
Okay, fine. I can take that off. Where does it go from there? You sure you want to find out? Like,
what do you mean? Are you threatening to get naked?
I'm just saying.
Do you
it's
not
so
have
hot.
a shirt underneath there?
It's so hot in
Why
here.
Why are you wearing 2 layers of clothes?
I think from now on we need HR on these calls.
Yes, yeah. Danae and I have needed HR for a long time.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We're way too good of friends.
You talking about the undershirt?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. If you've gained a little weight but have not bought more clothing and you can't pass what my wife calls the arm test.
Yes.
Wait, what's
it's nice to have an undershirt to in case you raise your arms and no one sees your belly.
Or the other side would be the crack.
Yeah, that's true too.
You got to tuck the t-shirt in.
Yeah.
Even if you're wearing an outer shirt.
Do you remember that one time I was like, do you want me to tell you if your butt's showing, Aaron? And you're like, no, it always does. This shirt is 100% cotton. And it's long shirt. It is no wonder
I had the sleeves rolled up. And no, I'm still hot. I'm just saying, you closed the vent. Do you know how warm it is outside?
Feel my hands.
Do you know how warm it is outside?
Feel my feet and my hands.
No,
touch my feet.
I mean, is the vent louder than a vacuum? Because we've done that.
And yes, I know that it's 95 degrees outside. So my question again is, why are you wearing 2 layers of clothing?
Because I don't go outside. I like to keep my house cool.
But you're using that as an argument.
Well, I like to keep my house cool so I can wear whatever clothes I want.
God, we need to go to counseling.
I'm going to go to HR and I'm going to tell them my female co-host told me that I needed to take clothes off and to touch her feet. And I don't feel good about this.
I love after our conversation last week, though, like one of the notes on the script notes this week, Danae was like, "I like mine because it's mine and it's good." I feel like that can't stem from last week.
It did. 100%. 100%. That is exactly it.
And I didn't know how to not
it.
vote for yours at that point. I'm like, yeah, that's
I know.
cool.
Oh my God. So I almost wrote, and if you vote for anything else, I'm going to get mad. Like I almost added some snarky thing in there, but I was like, no, he'll get it. They'll get it.
All right, let's finish this thing off. Let's go beyond the sins.
Oh, wow, that was weird.
Did you both do that independently, or did one of you hear the other one?
No, I did. I started, but there's a delay, so that meant we both started basically at the same time.
That's great.
That was amazing.
I'd like to take credit for that because the way I said it made both of you do that.
That's right.
That's true.
That's right.
It really, it always comes back to you.
It's all about me, really, at the end of the day.
It's all coming back to you now. No.
Go for it.
No.
I can see it wants to come out of you. I can see it.
Because the good guy's dressed in black. Remember that, just in case we have a face-to-face and make contact. The title held by me.
MIB!
I was just curious. Also, what's Yahoo Serious? I just wanted to let you know that I was on Discord the whole time.
I know you were.
You do?
Listen. You think
How
I'm
do you know?
You think I can see your screen.
I was on my phone.
You think I'm oblivious?
I was on Twitter on my
You're
laptop.
taking pictures. Listen. I wasn't born yesterday.
Hi. Bye.
Hi. Bye.